Hello and welcome here on my working table. My name is Lisbeth and I'm a Danish abstract mixed media artist who likes to do many things. But those of you who have been with me for a while know all that, and if you're new here, a warm welcome to you. This is part 2 in a little series, only these 2 parts here. And in the first part I jelly printed these pieces of lightweight cardstock, and I jelly printed them the patchwork way, as I call it. I only used a very small jelly plate, and I used a specific color scheme here, but of course you can use any color scheme you like. And I made these, and I made 7 totally, and I think I have 6 here right now, because my plan was to make some kind of Concertina book. And I know that is what I will going to be doing with them, but I will explain more about that in a little second. Here under the video I will put a link for the video where I jelly printed these papers here, or this cardstock. And if you're not into book constructions but just jelly printing and using your prints for other things, look at that video instead, because that can give you an idea of how you can jelly print this patchwork way, as I call it. And I can also put a link to my other jelly print videos where I do different techniques, and I can put a link to my book construction videos also, so you have a little to look at if you want to. But before I start, I just quickly want to say, and I hate to talk about this, but I have a Ko-fi account, so if anybody feels like supporting me, they are able to do that by using the link here below. And again, I will thank you so much for those who have supported me that way. I'm so grateful for that. But in any way, don't feel obligated. But let us get going and see what I can come up with here, and at least I will start telling you about my thoughts. There are many ways you can construct books, and it is given. I only have these. Yeah, I have 7, but I've chosen only to use the 6 of them because I would prefer to save one as maybe a kind of cover when I have made my book. And the way I think I will do it, you never know what happens during the process. It's not something here I've done this way before, but I have that idea that I will glue all these together, these 6 strips, and make one long, very long strip. And I will just glue them together with my glue stick and put some painter's tape on the back, and I think that would be enough to hold it. And then I will take this very long strip I have and put it through my sewing machine and make some meandering lines here with a black thread through all the 6 as sewing that way, and do several of them on all these 6 that are glued together. And then I will have a very, very long strip with machine sewing lines on it. And when I've done that, my plan is to crease. So I will get a page, as a, for instance, crease 10 centimeters there and 10 centimeters there, and then that is the first V or A. And then I would do it, for instance, only 12 centimeters and again 12 centimeters. And then you will make an uneven Concertina book. And I think that could be funny to do. I had never done this before. But if I end up gluing the Concertina book together, I nearly think so, because I haven't anything but smudge here on the back, and if I glue them together, the pages, they will... Yeah, can I do that when the pages are uneven? Perhaps I can do that when the pages are uneven. I will figure that out. I don't know that yet. If I can't glue them together, they would have to just be the zigzag way. But that is the plan. So here we go. These are the two first pages I want to glue together, and I've taken my cutting mat here, then I can measure exactly and yeah, perhaps a centimeter is enough overlap. I think it is. So first I will take my glue stick and just run down here with a good amount. Put this on here and line it up and line it up here. Again, I have the lines from my cutting mat, and then I would just press it down and just let it sit for a little, and then I can turn it over and put some masking tape here on the back, and I think I will go for this is a little wider than my normal one I use, and cut that off here, and then I can lift it up. Yeah, and now it's getting a little tricky. I will just cut it there and cut it there, and now I think it would hold. It is a little thicker, but not much. But I will do this with so I have 6 of these sewn together, and you don't need to see me do that, so I will do that. And when I'm done with that, I will go to my sewing machine, and I ain't able to film that, but all I will do is do straight stitches, or not any fancy stitches, and I will make some lines going up and down and whatever I fancy to do. And then I can show it to you when I have reached that part. So here we go. They are all glued together, the 6 pieces. And they are long as my arm. Yeah, and sorry if I'm shaking you. I'm jumping around here on my floor, trying to film this. Yeah, but it looks nice. Now I would put it in my sewing machine, and I will show you when I'm done sewing. I don't know if I can film this, but now I only have one hand, but you can see I just going wherever I fancy to go. I just got a new sewing machine, so I'm a little excited to see if it works, but it does. And sorry for shaking you around, but this is the way I do it. That was fun sewing all these lines, and I went all the way along here 5 times. So I will just cut and I haven't secured them or anything. They are just, I will just cut them off there, and I will do the same in the other end. And now I have this long strip here, you can see on the back side. It looks like that on the back side. Yeah, and here was a thread also. So this is how it looks there. So it is just plain, and my new machine didn't mind sewing into this cardstock and to the acrylic paint. So now for the $100 questions, how do I score this? I We'll have to have it the other way around here, I think. And then I have my mat here, cutting mat here. And it is, yeah, and away with my tea and my this and that. And I need here to see the measurements here, there. If I'm thinking, if my brain is thinking right, the first flap has to be one side, size, not size, one size, and then the next two things I score will have to have the same and amount of centimeters, because then I can glue them together, and then this flap is just sitting there, and then I could do something with a cover. That must be the solution. I think. Yeah, do I dare to score? I have taken an old knitting needle here, and then I have my metal ruler here. Of course, I also have a scoreboard somewhere, but that is in inches, and I don't like to work in inches. But if I, for instance, say the first page will be 10 centimeters. And here you really have to be, I'll go for 10 centimeters, and I will just score this line here and hope I don't rip the cardstock, and I don't think I did that. And I want my line to go this way because that is the first flap. So now I will have to measure here and say I will only do 8, I think. So this line has to be that line and that line, and also lined up here and there, and then I will go for 8 centimeters here. This is really not me, this measuring. To have it the other way, so I'm sure I measure it correctly. So now this is here and here, and I have fight with this long thing here, there and there. So here again I want 8 centimeters. And there, and there. Because then I have flap there. Did I forget to score here? Yeah, I will figure that out. Now I think I got it. Here I have scored at 10 centimeter. Then I make a score at 9 centimeter and 9 centimeter. And then we got this here, so I can glue it together if I want to. So now I have scored at 8 centimeter here, and the next score I want to do has to be 8 centimeters again. And somehow it is easier to see if it is lined up here when I'm turning it this way, even though it has to be turned on the other way, but it must be. So there, and I will find the 8 centimeter mark. I don't think it's so much about, I say 8, 10 or what centimeter. I think it's more about the principle here, that you make 2 score lines with where you have the same amount of centimeters. So the first flap there can be whatever. The first flap there can be whatever amount of centimeters you want, and then you make 2 score lines where there's from that one to that one the same and the same and the same and the same. So now I have a score line here. Yeah. So yeah, and it has to go the other way here. So there. And as you can see, I have changed my metal knitting needle to a wooden one, because I think I quite easily can ruin my paper if I score too hard. So this is better. So now the tricky part is to hold the line so it don't end up crooked. So you will have to nurse it a little. But I will do that. So again, to say it so you got it. Score to the front of the first page and make 2 score lines with the same amount of centimeters between, and you can do any amount if what you want. I've started with 9 and now I'm into 8, and now I can take 10 next time. So my book will be, yeah, I don't know if you can see it if I'm holding it up here. The pages will not be the same depth, but I will score the rest of it, and it will take some time. So I'm done with all the scoring, and I can quickly run through it here. This is not so nice an overlap there. You know, it's okay, the overlap, but the colors are not the best. But yeah, so it must be. But the construction of the overlaps is working fine. And here you can see I used a knitting needle with of metal, and I really nearly ruined it there. So don't do that. But it works quite fine when I'm looking at it this way here. But I talked about gluing the pages together 2 by 2 here, so I wouldn't have to look at this messy backside here. But I don't know if you can see it. If I hold it like this, or like this, perhaps it's better. You can see the 1, 2, 3 first there, and then it goes in there, and that is because I was a stupid woman and didn't have the right measurement. You can see here, this line there is scored wrong. It should have been scored a little wider, so it had ended up there. So after that it gets okay again, but that is why I won't be able to have a finished spine here, because it goes like this. So that is what is learning by doing, and take a little more care of what it is you're doing. But I would just let it be, and even though there you can see when I will glue these two pages together here, I will end up with a strip there, and I will just put some paint on it, or yeah, I would just let it be, I think. We'll see. I will let it be as it is, and perhaps another time I will do another one, and then I will have figured the construction out before I start scoring. And not the principle, but the measurements of it. And I know I've been talking a lot, and perhaps it is easier to see here. Think of this as my whole long strip, this here. Then you score the first of the long strip and the last of the long strip the same size. And I have written 10 centimeters, but don't take care of the exact figure. It could have been 12 or 14 or whatever amount of centimeters you wanted. But what is important is you have scored there. Then you have to score next time the same, and I have written 6 and 6, so you score there and there. So these two are the same, and then you can do the same by 8 and 8 and 10 and 10 and 6 and 6 and 14 and 14, or whatever you want to do. But if you want the front and back to put something on in the same size, these two has to be the same, and then you have to have double every time you do something. Then your book will be with a spine that is, or you can make a spine that is totally even and not wonky like mine is. So you can take a screen dump here if you want. That is all I will. I think this is the easiest way to explain it. You could also just glue the front and the back together, then you have a star-like shape here, and you can have it that way, and you will of course could see the inside of your concertina here. That is also an option. So this concertina construction is one you can use in many different ways. But I think I will glue my pages together 2 by 2 here, and cut out. I will just remove this here. And whoops, sorry for giving you a tour in the roller coaster here. But I only use the 6 pages, so I have one more left, so I will cut 2 strips off here. Mine is 10 centimeters, and then I will just glue them on here, and that must be the way I do it. So I don't know if you need to see me doing all this gluing, but I think I will just take my glue stick, because this isn't a museum's piece, and of course you have to put it under heavy pressure, and you have to be not to be frugal with it. You really need a lot. You could also use double-sided tape or something like that, and you can also use matte medium or heavy gel. But here there are preparations, a lot of them, and if I used matte medium, I think it would come up through the hole. So in this case I don't think it would work very well. But I know this no glue here, but the next 2 pages, for instance, has to be glued together. So I will just take my glue stick here and give it a good amount. Yeah. on both pages, and then I will just flap it over. And because the creasing is so good here, it is lined up and looking very nice. And I'll just let it sit here for a little before I glue the next 2 pages together. And when I'm totally done with that, I would put it under a heavy book or something, and let it be there for a little, and then I could cut the front and back also. For the next 2 pages I will do exactly the same. And this works quite well, the overlap of the single sheets here. If you are having I don't know if you can buy cardstock on rows, but if you had a strong paper, you perhaps could have cut a strip of that, so you had a really long strip of paper. And make it like this. So you can see now it will go like this, and it feels better. And again, I think I would take some acrylic paint just and run my finger down here in the crease there, so it don't break off. But I will glue all the pages here together first, or no, perhaps I can do that so we can put the front and the back on here. I know the height is good enough, so do I want it like this? Yeah, I think that is fine enough with that as the front. Or do I want this here on the front, or do I want this here on the front? Yeah, I need to cut all these small threads off also. But as far as I remembered, this was 10 centimeters, wasn't it? Yeah, 10 centimeters. So I need to cut 2 strips of this off here on 10 centimeters. So that shouldn't be so difficult. Again, I will turn it this way so I have my figures down here. There and there. So yeah, I'm always a little nervous, so if I cut it a little bigger, I can always cut something off there. So I will just take it like this, whoops, and out of that. And instead of pushing really hard and damage your paper, rather do a lot of this movement instead. So there again, one more for 10 centimeters. About there, it's a little over. Yeah, in this case I can. Yeah. So now I have these 2 pieces here, and this, yeah, is the leftover. Perhaps I can make a belly band, but let us see here first. There and there. So this is where I want. Yeah, let me see. Do I want it this way, or do I want it that way? I think I want it that way. So again, I will just put a lot of glue on here. And here also I will go over it, especially on the sides and the corners. So, and I will just place it down here. Let's see. You have a few seconds where you can slide around with it. There. Let me see, I have a little cloth here. Yeah, and I want to cut these off also. And this here, this little scissor was only cut in fabric and threads and not in paper. Yeah, death penalty for using my scissors for the wrong purposes. So yeah, there and there and there, I can see they're sitting a little. You can always find something to nurse there. So that looks yummy. There and there and there and there, and I'll glue this and I will glue that on. And when I've done that, I can show it to you. So all is glued together, and it is quite, yeah, it's a little damp yet, so it will have to dry a little more. And I made another bow. This crease there was wrong, so you can see this side has to have gotten into there. So again, it is doing a little different for the book to be opened and closed. But when I have it like this, it looks quite fine, and the height is so neat, so no troubles there. And the creasing there is also fine, but yeah, because of this arrow I made, the construction is it is a little difficult to open the book and to get it to lie flat. It could have done that if I had been more exact with the double creasing every time, like I showed you on this piece here before. But let us just quickly do a little flip through. And I really like these black lines with my sewing machine here, and it's a nice spread. And here it begins to be, I think that's the whole purpose of making the book like this, is the flaps are different. And so far it goes, and there, and that is where I've glued two of the long strips of cardstock together, and that works quite fine doing it like I did. And here, and here. This overlap is too harsh, in my opinion. And here there are some white marks, and I can come in here with my Caran d'Ache and say I don't like these white marks, so let us just give it a little extra. And now it gets tricky here, because I'll reach the part where my creasing did go wrong, so I can hardly open this one, but when I turn it over there, it's fine again. And this overlap here I really like. The dark one here, there, that's also a fine overlap. And I really think these black machine sewed lines binds it all together. So I really like the look of it, and the different sizes of the pages is exactly what I was going for. But I've made two bows, and then it ended up like this. The only thing I don't like is to look at it in this way. But if I had not made these arrows and all my pages here has had the same level, I could have put a cover all over it or done something else. But right now it looks, I don't like the look of the white there, and if it had been even, I could have put a strip of tape or cut a strip of this off and glued it on. I don't think I perhaps I could do it now, but then the book will be impossible to open and close, and that is a shame, I think. So yeah, that is what happens when you have it all in your head and not quite have thought everything through, or what happens when you take a wrong measurement. But the look of the book is really, really nice, and I'm satisfied with that. So I'm so satisfied, so I think I will do another one in another video, but I will not jelly print. I have another funny technique where I will use exactly the same cardstock and do something a little different and use watercolor, but else I will do exactly like I have done here, and then I will take much more care when I score it, because now I know exactly what to do. But no matter what, I have done it, and the look of it is very pleasing to me, because this is, of course, my color scheme. I hope you have get something out of this video, or at least got inspired and see you can do so many things with these kind of book bindings, and just jump into it. It is only paper and paint, and of course I've used a couple of hours on this project, but now I have learned what to do next time. And yeah, enjoy what you're doing, and take what comes, and learn from it, and do better next time if you make some boos like I have done here in this case. But that wouldn't prevent me from doing it another time. So if you have an idea in your head, go for it and try. But if you have been inspired, and if you after all have been enjoying this video, please give my video a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing my little Danish channel. That would be very much appreciated. And also hit the notification bell, and then you know when to look for the next video that's coming up. And give me a comment on what you think of not the boost, but about this construction with uneven side pages. That would be nice to hear your opinion of that. So I don't think I will say much more here in this video else than please be playful and creative, and please take care of yourself and people around you, and not but least of all, please be nice to everybody. So thanks for this time, and see you soon again. Bye bye. Adieu. Auf Wiedersehen. So long.